So this is one that I've been wanting to make for quite some time. ZFS is one of my favorite features on FreeBSD. The flexibility that it gives you for managing big data is just, it's unrivaled if you ask me. The only thing that comes remotely close is probably Ceph, but I've not really looked at Ceph and I don't intend to just yet. I will do at some point. So ZFS, what is it? Well, it's a file manager and it's a file system all in one. And it's just takes a lot of the headaches out of managing file systems and data sets. It's really good. The only issue you have with ZFS is that you need quite a decent amount of memory to use it. So let's get on with it, shall we? So everything I'm going to do, I'm going to be logged in as root. This is a completely fresh machine, complete fresh install. And we're going to have a quick look at what we've got on there at the moment. So let's list our zpools. Just the one. Should we list our disks? No, because we don't need to. But I'll just have a quick look at what there is. So as you can see, I've got my ADA 0, which is the boot disk, and that's set up as a Z root. And I've got ADA 1 and ADA 2. So the things that we're going to look at are going to be things like encryption, dedupe, and snapshots. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what we can do with it, shall we? So the first obvious step is to actually create a zpools. And for this one, we'll just do a simple striped single disk zpools. Create, and we're going to call it test, and it'll be dev ADA1. So there we go. That's created our first zpools. So if we now do a zpools list, you should see it there. So the test. These are 500 gig spinning disks. Not very good, just old laptop things. So we should be able to see that if we do a df, which will list the file systems. There it is, test. And it's just mounted it in the root directory. There you go. So what about compression? Compression seems to be a big thing these days to get the most out of your disk space. Even though disks aren't exactly expensive, money is still an issue. So let's go ZFS. We're going to change from zpools to ZFS, different tool. And this is going to create a file system. Right, it's going to create a data set. And let's set the properties. God, my stomach's rumbling. There we go. So compression is now on for that data set. And there you can see the two data sets. So you've got the root data set of test, and you've got the compressed one. So that's good. So let's go into our compressed data set. Let's copy an ISO over that we can use to test this. So if I go back one, so we should see it's just under a gig. So if we move into compressed, it's the same size. But so there we go. That just shows there is a bit of compression going on, because the file itself is just 994 meg, yet it's listed on the disk as 979. Now that may not seem like a lot, but when you start working with big data sets, you start to see, and depending on which compression level you use, and we've used gzip with this, you might see more compression. Okay, so let's cd and let's list our zpools. Okay, we want to get rid of our zpools now, so let's go zpools destroy -f test. So there we go. That's now gone. So if I do a DF now, completely gone. So we can now use Z raids. So we'll set up a Z raid. Now there are two things that we could do here because we've got two disks. We could set up a mirror, which we'll do first. So that would be zpools create, give it a name. We'll call it test again. What type it is, ADA1 and ADA2. So there we go. So if we now list the zpools, there we go. There is our test. And again, it's the same size as it was before. But if we do a zpools status, this will give us a bit more information. So there we go. If you look at it, zpools test, and it's a mirror, and there's the two disks, and it's online. Nice and simple. So let's destroy that. We don't need that one. Let's create a stripe. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a stripe with two disks, because if you lose one disk, that's it. The whole data is gone, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. And we'll call it test. So there we go. You don't need to tell it what type of zpools it's going to be. So if I now zpools my list, zpools list, there you go, just under 1 terabyte. Do a zpools status, and it shows both the disks online. So let's destroy that one. Still don't need that one. So what about RAID Z levels? Well, the problem with RAID Z levels, and we can't do it on this system because we've only got two disks. But it's just as simple. So you'd go zpools create. So we could call it whichever RAID level we want. Can we do a RAID Z? We might be able to do a RAID Z one. Let's give it a name. See what happens. Yeah. I think it needs... No, I've done it the wrong way around, haven't I? That's why. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's do it. But I suspect this is just a stripe. Which it is. Okay. So let's destroy that one. But the other RAID levels that you could do are RAID Z2, which we can't do. It requires at least 3 drives. A RAID Z3, which requires at least 4 drives. So we can't do much of that. So what about, let's create a mirror again. That was the best one, I think, for this setup. So there's our mirror. So what about encryption then? So we do this on the ZFS data set. So if we go ZFS create -0. There we go. So we've now got a ZFS data set that is encrypted. Very cool. So we've got our encrypted data set up. So there it is. So let's try a reboot. So let's see what happens, shall we? Hasn't yet. That's interesting. Interesting. So it didn't. But look at that. It's not mounted. But it is mounted. Isn't that the strangest thing? Anywho, we have an encrypted ZFS data set. And there it is at the top. So how can we get the properties of our encrypted data set? Well, this will be quite an interesting one. So let's let's output this to a file. So ZFS get all test. There we go. So like I said, it's a lot. So we'll output that to a file. So here we go. So this should tell you everything we need to know. So what it is, how much space there is, what's used, what the compression ratio is it mounted, which is rather interesting. Absolute ton of information about it. And what kind of encryption it's using. So it's using AES 256 GCM. Okay, so if it's not mounted, how am I in that directory? Well, it creates the directory anyway. So let's get it remounted. I suspect that's not encrypted now, though. Oh, it is. It's still encrypted. All right, okay. So we just needed to mount it. Stupid me. So there we go. There's a little overview of ZFS features that we've got. And there is our encrypted data set ready to go and ready to use. Hope you find this useful, guys. Don't forget, as always, to like the video if you do find it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Discord in the link below. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.